First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. Shalom to the hopeful elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. To you ribs, to you sisters out there, learning silence and staying in order. I say to you, all you, Shalom. All right, so I was watching a video, forgot where I watched it, and somebody brought up this bill about the regulations in New Hampshire. Now I am out of Massachusetts. I'm part of the Camp Diligent Soldiers out of Boston, and we're not too far from New Hampshire. So, you know, I believe New Hampshire is considered a Republican state. So they're kind of like, Florida, Texas. They're really patriotic, for lack of better words. And they have passed this bill. Interesting enough, banning things that a lot of people who are considered conspiracy theorists have been shunned for. Right, we're gonna read it to find out what exactly it is. Right, this is Bill Text, New Hampshire HB 1700 2024 regulation session introduced. New Hampshire House Bill 1700, New Hampshire State Legislature, page for HB 1700. Bill title. So this is the title of the bill. Prohibiting the intentional release of pollutions, emissions, introducing cloud seeding. Right, and cloud seeding is when they allegedly feed clouds to make more rain. So they have these cartridges. Matter of fact, let me pull up a video.
Here in Modesto, California, pilots are prepping this plane to fly into the center of a storm. Flares on the wings and fuselage will inject a substance called silver iodide into the storm clouds, causing water within the clouds to freeze and increasing the amount of precipitation that falls.
We can't make a storm happen, and we can't create conditions in the storm that are ideal. Those happen naturally, and what we're doing is just taking advantage of existing conditions, naturally occurring conditions, and trying to make the storm, again, more efficient from a water supply perspective.
It's called cloud seeding, and as futuristic as it sounds, it's been around since the 1940s. Today, states, utility companies, and ski resorts alike pay companies like Weather Modification International significant money to seed storm clouds and increase snowfall in the drought-ridden American West and worldwide.
Our current project is about $4 million a year. We're very well supported. We have a lot of local stakeholders that are investing in it.
Until recently, the evidence for cloud seeding's efficacy was murky, but research has finally shown unequivocally that it works, and there's been no evidence to show that the seeding agent, silver iodide, is harmful at the current level that it's used. Blessed Root says that Idaho Power sees an 11 or 12% increase in snowpack in some areas that it seeds, while Carkeet says Turlock's program results in about 60 to 90,000 extra acre-feet of water every year. While it's no cure for the West's historic drought, dozens of cloud seeding programs across the country are ramping up right now as winter gets underway.
That's pretty much it on that, man. Let's go back. So that's what cloud seeding is. Says here, prohibiting the intentional release of polluting emissions, including cloud seeding. So that's considered polluting emissions. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I couldn't tell you what those things are, man, but it can't be good, right? Nothing that you add to what people call nature chemically enhances or is better than letting it naturally occur, right? Because you're messing with it. See, and this is what they don't want. It says including cloud seeding, weather modification, excessive excessive electromagnetic radio frequency, right? So these things that they're mentioning here are things that people have brought out that are allegedly put here, right, by the state officials, the feds, to harm people, right? That's what people say. And it's not far fetched, man. We've seen a lot of different programs that the feds have put out that was declassified and was really wasn't right. For example, the Tuskegee experiments. Look that up. Sometimes the government does secret programs that are not in the best interest of the public. Right? It says here, electromagnetic radio frequency and microwave radiation, and making penalties for violation of such prohibition. Right? So it's the state of New Hampshire against basically the government. It says here, I'm going to read the act here. An act prohibiting the intentional release of polluting emissions, including cloud seeding. I think we just read that. Let's see. Let's go to analysis. No, that's the same thing. All right, let's go to the actual writing here. Number 1, short title. This act shall be known and may be cited as the Clean Atmosphere Preservation Act. Findings. The General Court finds that many atmospheric activities such as weather modification, stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI, solar radiation modification, SRM, and other forms of geoengineering involving the intentional release of polluting emissions harms humans' health and safety, the environment, agriculture, wildlife, aviation, state security, and the economy of the state of New Hampshire. Right? So that's what they're proposing, and that's what they're bringing up. They're not going to allow it no more. Right? And, I would say 4 days before this was actually put forth, there was some massive explosions up there in New Hampshire that was mysterious, right? I'm not saying that they are connected or any type of way, but it's just, you would consider it suspicious in a sense. That would be considered a terrorist attack if somebody had set those things on fire. It was 3 oil tankers. I'm gonna bring up the story now.
Ariel, there are 12 different fire departments here. We are seeing firsthand just how serious and how intense this fire is. I just spoke with several firefighters and fire chiefs here who tell me this is actually a 5-alarm fire, and they are expecting it for it to be a 6-alarm fire at the end of the night tonight. They say it'll take about 5 to 6 more hours for them to contain these flames. This is all happening in a hardwood facility with several other excavators and machinery in this lot. There's oil on the ground. I thought at first when we were walking around that it was just water, but we've been told several times at this point to back away for our own safety. I can tell you this is serious. There are several towns here responding to this fire. We've seen the Exeter Fire Department, the Epping Fire Department, the Chester Fire Department. Of course, there are police here. I also spoke with people who are here who work for Eversource, who say they were called to this fire, to this scene here, to turn the power off in this lot. We know that there are also snow plowing machinery here. I'm told that there have been no injuries reported so far. Fire chiefs tell me that so far they are still investigating the exact cause of this fire, but again, they are saying it'll take about 5 to 6 more hours to contain these flames. And what you're seeing right now on your screen is actually much tamer than when we first arrived at about 5:30 this afternoon. We are seeing several first responders. There are several crews here from 12 different towns, like I said. Of course, police also say they're still investigating the cause of this fire. Again, there have been no injuries reported. We will follow up with the fire departments who are here tonight on the cause of this fire as they continue their investigation. But for now, we're live in Epping. Imani Fleming, WMUR News 9.
Right. So that's the that explosion that happened in Epping, New Hampshire. I'm not saying it's connected to this, but it's just pretty you know, I would say alarming to say that 4 days later that they passed a bill banning these you know, these geoweather engineering programs from the government. It says here in other forms of geoengineering involving the intentional release of pollutions, emissions, harms human health and safety, the environment, agriculture, wildlife, aviation, state security, and the economy of the state of New Hampshire. It is therefore the intention of the General Court to prohibit SAI, geoengineering, and other intentionally polluting activities in New Hampshire's atmosphere and or at ground level, as further set forth by the terms and provisions of this chapter to preserve the safe, healthful, and peaceful uses of New Hampshire's atmosphere for people, wildlife, and agriculture by prohibiting deliberate atmospheric pollution and manipulation of the environment, providing enforcement and penalties for violative activity. So now you see that the people of New Hampshire, the state of New Hampshire, is going against the federal government in their programming to stop geoengineering. Like chemtrails, as they wrote. So now we know that that's confirmed that it's a thing and it's real and it's actually passed in law to go and set violations and fees for anybody who is paid or is put on a job to go over international space in New Hampshire. Right. So that reminds me of 2nd Ezra chapter 15. In verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition of men and invading one another." Right? "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." Right? There's going to be total unrest eventually. Civil War, right? We got that movie Civil War coming up, and they slowly put it in the movies. So then when it comes to fruition, they could say that you were forewarned, right? It's called predictive programming. It's almost like a way to clear their conscience. From the top. "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Right? So they're going to be able to overthrow these governments because it's going to be total chaos. Right? They're not going to have enough manpower to stop the people rising up against their governments. And this is a small glimpse into that, because we got Texas, Florida, and now New Hampshire slowly separating from the federal government. There's also rumors of people in the military forming alliances and gangs to also overthrow the government, like we saw in the state capitol ordeal. People just not caring and clearly breaking laws and committing acts of terror. This is a sedition of men. This is a speck of what's to come. Let me see if there's anything more on that bill. It says new sections: prohibition on pollution, emissions, frequency, and radiation. Amend RSA 12F by inserting after section 1 the following new sections: 12F F2, regulations by state giving officials obligation to promote the safety of life and property, and due to potential for significant harm, and all state climate-related appointees must be on or have been administered the state oath of office and shall fulfill the obligations thereunder to protect the state and federal constitution and New Hampshire constituents, requiring appointees direct responsiveness to constituents and not to foreign or out-of-state entities. The Department of Environmental Services shall refer potential violations as reported by state agencies, a member of the public, to New Hampshire County Sheriff and the Department of Environmental Services, Air Resources Division of Compliance, as detailed herein. the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Services shall immediately issue a cease and desist order upon the discovery of stratospheric aerosol injected cloud seeding, weather modification, or other atmospheric polluting activity, including excessive electromagnetic, radio frequency, microwave, radiation emissions, where an agent, department, office, program, or member Salakia of the public produces evidence to the Department 2 or New Hampshire County sheriffs that the activity may be harmful or involves release of a polluting emission. Right, so they're letting it be known. You know, they're not gonna play with it. This is total division, right? In the book of Matthew, it talks about a kingdom divided cannot stand, right? So this was ordained before the foundation of Babylon. But you see it. You see the prophecies coming forth, man. Among other things, you know, it's a lot going on in this world right now, and this is, I believe, in my opinion, this is a great, because you know it's exposing Esau, man, exposing the man of perdition. Right, the scriptures talk about that there's nothing hid that should be not unseen. Paraphrasing. Right, there's nothing hid that will not be brought to light. And people have been calling, people who knew about this and spoke about this, conspiracy theorists, this, that, and the third, man, alienating and, you know, just making people look crazy. You know, because people are so dumbed down and simple that they believe a man because he has a degree in science. But there was a quote: when you mix science and politics, you get politics. I believe I got that from that show Redacted. It's a good show, good channel. Yeah, man, it makes sense though. You know, when you try to mix politics into anything, you know, politics overruns everything, because, you know, that's what passes laws and makes money and controls the masses. You can't mix the two. Right? But you see that why the question is, man, why is the feds, you know, putting these things in the air that could potentially harm people for the sake of what? You know, according to the headstones, they're trying to you know, off a lot of people, like what's it called, erase, you know, a large percent of the people, man. I want to say at least like 60 to 70% of the population, man. So nothing they put out there is going to be of any value. Nothing. Let me go to my Bibles. NIV. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees. Right? And weather modification, and, you know, the chem to the trails, you know, is considered an unrighteous decree, because as you saw, even the states are turning against these policies. For whatever reason, they said they was going to do it. You know, if it's cloud seeding or whatever it is harming the people. So, you know, the states are separating now, and they're becoming woke, so to speak, to the bullshit that we are going through, and that people have been speaking about for a long time, right? But that word woe means destruction or sorrow to those who make unjust laws. I mean, who's that? Esau, Edom, right? The modern day Romans, right? But they basically exposing themselves because Esau is exposing Esau. Let me get one more precept real quick. It's Psalms chapter 68 and verse 8. And it reads, the earth shook, the heavens also dropped. Salaki, that's not what I wanted. Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. Right? So they're gonna be exposed to themselves, man. Well, that's it on that, man. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the GMS. Shalom to the hopeful elect, preaching his word in truth and sincerity. And to you, Rib, to you sisters out there learning silence and staying in order. Shalom.